Welcome to video 3. If you remember back to video 1 from this lesson, we discussed a chart that was helpful for helping figure out whether we were shading one direction or the other. We had said that that only is going to work when our variable is on the left side. In this video, we're going to focus on what happens and what you need to do when that variable is on the right side instead. So if you go ahead and take a look at example 3, we are going to have a little bit more complex problem than we've dealt with so far. We're still going to follow the same process. Remember, anytime we're doing a multi-step equation, the first thing we're going to want to do is distribute. So we're going to distribute the 3 through the parentheses. We're going to get plus 24, and we're going to get plus 18x. The next thing we want to do is combine like terms. Remember, if there's no number in front there, it's like we have an invisible 1. So this is going to be 19x, and we are going to have just plus 24 there. The next thing that we are going to need to do, we need to undo the addition. So we're going to subtract 24. We're going to subtract that 24 from both sides, and we're going to get 133 is greater than 19x. So then we are going to divide both sides by 19. And that's going to give us a 7 on the left and just an x on the right. Now notice that we divide by a positive number, so we don't have to flip that sign. If that would have been negative 19, we would have had to flip the direction. So now notice that our variable is on the right. Now we have two different options that we can take when we are approaching this problem. We can just remember that if the variable is on the right, we shade the opposite of wherever the arrow is pointing. So in this case, it does not have the line underneath it, so it would be an open circle. And it is telling us to shade right, but remember our variable is on the right, so we have to do the opposite. So we would want to shade left. The other way that you could take a look at this is to go ahead and actually flip this so that the variable is actually on your left. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the x and the 7 and switch their sides. And the important thing to do is to make sure that the sign is pointing in the same direction. So in this case, the sign is pointing to the x, so I need to make sure when I have rewritten these that the sign is pointing to the x, just as before. Now our variable is on the left side. We would be able to follow that chart. The arrow is pointing left as it's a less than symbol, so we would shade the same direction. So I really don't care which of those two methods you use. Personally, I usually move the variable to the other side, but just make sure to pay attention that anytime your variable is on the right, you need to think a little bit harder about the problem than just a first glance. Go ahead and try the U-try, and we'll see you in the last video.